That used to be a grocery store. I used to pull a little red wagon up here, pick up the groceries that my mom had a list for and never paid money. So they would just write it down, and that's how you got your groceries when you were a kid. And at the end of this street is my parents' house. They still live there.
The feeling of creating art in this building is just amazing. Almost every time I walk in, I get that feeling. Even though there are challenges every day, whether the roof is leaking or the elevator doesn't work, or the challenges of owning a giant building are extreme. Maria and I and our staff have really worked on creating an environment that is welcoming. And that's the kind of place I want to be in.
The Stationery Factory is a rare and unique ecosystem.
There's a whole vibrant, awesome community of people in this building.
This building really is more of like a center place for the town.
It really feels like we're on the map.
I want to see it be successful and everybody be happy.
It couldn't happen without good people.
It runs really deep. For my adult life, I worked at Crane & Company. I started full-time in '84, even though part-time I started in 1977. My experience here has been, over a very, very long period of time, but a lot of the other people who work here, they have almost lifelong experiences in this building.
This is the actual deed, the original deed. Somebody took this before we bought the building, and I had to track this down, but we found it. Unfortunately, I had friends that were able to find it. That's the original deed signed in 1889 that created the Dalton Shoe Factory, and this is what they built the shoes around. That's the real history right there of how this whole place got started.
It's just the south room, though.
Yeah, it was just the south room, yeah.
The room that we're sitting in here is what we call the South Room, but it was the original building. It was purchased by Crane & Company in 1922. Crane's stationery, we considered it the finest stationery that you could purchase in the world.
Right in the room next to here, they would take these and they would feather them out, and then they would take ink and they would put it on them. Every one of the borders that you bought on a Crane note was actually done by hand, which is just blows your mind to think that.
One day, there was a story in the Berkshire Eagle that Crane & Company was going to move out of this building and take this operation and move it to North Adams and consolidate it. Understanding that if these buildings became vacant, that it would be a challenge that might not be something that the town could overcome, people started expressing interest. And I always thought, well, gee, it's a beautiful building. It's in the center of town. Maybe we could do something with this place.
It was really more him that decided he was going to buy this building. And he thought, don't worry, honey, I'll turn it around in 5 years. It'll be fine.
It was literally like a dog catching a school bus. We were chasing the bus, and all of a sudden it stopped and we got it. And we were like, okay, what do we do now?
In the beginning, we really tried to just spruce it up a little bit, and it just took years. We had to get the paint tested for lead. We had to get asbestos out of the building. There was so much stuff to do.
We could not get a bank to finance what we did because we had no income. This is 100,000 square feet. In the first year of having no tenants, it takes over $200,000 a year just to keep the lights on, try to patch the roof. Very difficult. So generating income from an empty building was a challenge.
We find beauty in the way the building is with its history versus covering that history up. I mean, if we don't have history, why would we go forward, right? Why would we build it right now if we can't remember the past, right?
There was no strict plan. We wanted to put a grocery store back in this neighborhood. We talked to some different grocers to come here, but it didn't work out. Fortunately, my interest in music and my friends that I have who came here said, wow, this big room that has an acoustical ceiling, we could do something with this. So, I mean, all of a sudden it's just like, okay, now your passion starts taking over.
I see a lot of my own way of thinking in how Steve thinks, which is kind of cool. It's probably a little dangerous because we both were like, yeah, that's a great project, let's do it, before we think about if it's even possible. The whole idea was a great experience for everybody. The audience experience is the most important. The artist experience is also very important, if not equally important. So to try to bring that back on some level and remind people how important it is to hang out with each other, this place can serve that.
The Berkshires have always had a reputation for musicians. Some of the best musicians in the world come from New England and come to Berkshire County to perform or just hang out with each other. Right. We wanted to kind of build into that. And over here, it's all managed by...
Sweet racks of gear.
Yeah, and so this is all the amplifiers and head end of the system. They're prettier when they're lit up.
From the lighting standpoint, there's certain things that you got to do to maintain the high level, and I'm trying to do that every time I sit back here and do a show. It's just about layering. I brought some stuff down here to get different angles, and I have donuts in here to change the beam, and I treat some of the LEDs as par cans. Everything together, is what makes it good. Just want the best for the people and the best for the artist, and I don't want to feel like I did that every time, so that's my goal.
We have about 25 different businesses or tenants in the building. I feel blessed that people saw, wow, this is a cool place. Maybe I can take my dream of what I'm doing with my business and evolve it there as well, because that's what's happening.
Well, here we are in Berkshire Cat Records. Got some folk and soundtracks. Rare Bin. I love when I see people in here because I know this is a diehard vinyl person. The fact of the matter is there's a whole vibrant, awesome community of people in this building coming here every day, day in, day out. Everyone's grateful, everyone's smiling, everyone's just happy to be here.
We're at KSW Printing. We do apparel manufacturing and decorating. When you bring a bunch of creatives into one space, you get kind of magic happening.
Basically right now, as you can see, there's a couple other pieces on there already embroidered. It's got a few of these that we're knocking out today, a couple orders coming up for next week. Yeah, it's kind of a dream, and it's coming to reality.
It makes you feel good to see your vision brought to life. That's the part that I really enjoy.
I'm Jack Waldheim, and this is JW Handcrafted Guitars and Mod Jobs, collectively known as the Music Repair Shop. I think an instrument has a life just like anything else. And I just love the idea of maintaining a thing that's got stories and emotions and a history.
Jack and I have worked alongside each other over 20 years. Once we saw the Stationery Factory in this building, this space really worked well for us. When you walk down the hall, you're able to make the connections with the other business owners. You're able to see, kind of what they're doing. And it's allowed us to grow pretty organically as well, as the time has gone on.
I am Marion Bergen. I'm a licensed acupuncturist. It's a very satisfying experience to help people feel better and resolve their ailments, whether they be emotional or physical. I just always wanted to have a practice in an old mill. And when I walked in and saw what was here, I realized that I could manifest my dream. It was 2 blocks from my home. And I said to Steve, it isn't going to get better than that for me.
Lymphedivas manufactures compression garments. We really focus on the emotional aspect of healing. I mean, I think the biggest misconception is that a medical product has to look a certain way for it to be effective. And we've put our whole existence into proving that medical products could also be beautiful and functional at the same time.
This is where the patterns are actually pressed onto the garments. Our garments are inspected at 8 different places through the process. So we always look to make sure everything's perfect before it goes out. I started here at the Stationery Factory in 1992. I was the elevator man. Coming back here and being able to see these jobs come back into the factory has been special for me. The development of this building is an important example of what should be looked at for other buildings of its type. If we're going to have a community where people can actually live where they work and work where they live, this is the kind of development that's going to be vital to Berkshire County over the next 20, 30, 40 years.
One of the things that we love at One Berkshire is we like to look at this region not as it was or as it is, but what it could be. The roadmap that's been laid out and that can be learned from with the Stationery Factory is to build from community. It's to engage community stakeholders. It's to hear from community what it is that will meet their needs.
The Berkshire Blueprint is a 10-year strategic imperative that we launched in 2019, focused on the sustainable economic growth of Berkshire County. We've identified 6 primary economic clusters that really are pervasive across the whole county. So that's advanced manufacturing and digital enterprise, health and wellness, the creative economy, hospitality and tourism, food and agriculture, and outdoor recreation. And in some way, shape, or form, all of those are either represented by the businesses that are in this building or by Steve himself.
Success in a facility like this, like we're seeing, doesn't happen by accident. Steve has navigated resource providers on the local level, right in Dalton, throughout Berkshire County, and on the state level. There's absolutely an intentionality around it, and it's years of work and patience and vision coming together.
The Stationery Factory has become a center of gravity. It's become an economic driver, but it's also just become that major community amenity that most communities yearn for. And fortunately for Dalton, they have it right here in their backyard.
Marie and I really wanted to make our community a place that we want to be in. You want to live in a community that you're proud of. And now we create memories. Maybe you saw your child perform for the first time on stage. Maybe you got married here, or maybe you sold your first piece of art at a craft fair. I mean, wow, you know? We can take what people imagine and we can make it happen, and hopefully make it happen even better than they imagined. And if it wasn't for my staff, we would never be able to do that. So I have just the best people to work with. The future's unknown, but I know that if we care about what we're doing and we're trying to do the right thing, that eventually the reward will be there. And if that reward is that people have jobs in your community and then they can pay their taxes and have homes and their kids can go to school here, I mean, that's a huge, huge accomplishment.